Yo, welcome back to Off the Wall. My name is Bogz. Welcome to today's review. It is the spoiler review of Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1. It's also Chapter 17. It is called The Apostate. Also, just need to apologize about the late upload on this video. None of us have really been available. So we do apologize about that on behalf of the channel. But yeah, let's just get straight to it. In short, we're back, baby. Star Wars is back and I love it. I just adore this show. I forgot how much I love this show, The Mandalorian, and being back in this Mandoverse with Filoni and Favreau at the helm together, producing this absolutely wonderful show, full of wonder, full of that childhood nostalgia and good feelings, and just like Saturday morning serial television, space western, all of that stuff. Love it all. It wasn't the absolute strongest season 1 episode. Obviously, we've had 3 now, which I'll come to a bit later about some things I didn't 100% like or any potential dislikes. Nothing really I actually disliked, I'm going to tell you now. So it was a really fun episode. Loved being back so much. And yeah, I'm going to spoil the heck out of this. So yeah, let's just get straight to it. Really, this episode comes down if it's a hit or miss for you. So after this episode, you're really left with two different things. Do you like this episode? Was it fun to be back? And do you just enjoy being in this Mandoverse? Or is it something that you're not happy with? Maybe you're not happy with the writing, the length of the episode, etc. I am definitely with the former. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I not only am I so happy the Mandalorian is back, I'm happy. It feels like Star Wars is back. This is everything that I find appealing, and I believe that Star Wars should adhere to is in this show. And yes, like I said, it's been 2 years, so the longing for this kind of show. There has been several other shows, which I feel has fall so short of what I love and hold dear about Star Wars, and this show not only has it, it puts it at the forefront. So it's been a 2 long years, and I'm so glad it's back. So happy to be back. And it's my favorite Disney Plus series or show. To be honest, it's my favorite Disney era Star Wars content. That's including any of the movies. I do quite like mostly all of the animation that they've done, but Mandalorian is the number one property that they've come out with, and I genuinely forgot how much I liked it. I was smiling, laughing. I had such a fun ride with this episode. So we're going to break down the episode. Won't be too long. Just stick with us. So they did a brief summary at the beginning of the episode where we saw Mando. He's now back with Grogu, etc. If you caught up with the Book of Boba Fett, you're already caught up. A quick summary beforehand of kind of what's been going on. Obviously, I did notice immediately there was no kind of images or shots of Luke and Ahsoka. So I guess if you haven't seen the Book of Boba Fett, you may be slightly confused, but you do need to watch them 2 episodes and to be fully caught up. But yes, obviously it's a small recap. Wasn't the most filled out one, but personally I don't care because I'm fully caught up. So you have to be, if you care and invested in the show. I really feel like I had to watch them 2 episodes in the Book of Boba Fett featuring the Mandalorian and Grogu. So the episode starts off with the armorer creating or crafting a new blue helmet, and she walks out on kind of a beachfront. There's a guard of honor from other Mandalorians. To be honest, I actually thought that it was Din Djarin's initiation almost as a child, a flashback. But obviously I came to realize it was a new one, and it's welcoming obviously a young Mando into the creed of the children of the Watch, that they cannot remove their helmets. That's the biggest key thing. And obviously not all Mandalorians are like this. This is a specific kind of caste, if you will, of Mandalorians who are very traditional, let's say, as opposed to some other ones, which we'll come to in a second, who also featured in this episode. Amongst the Mandalorians there, we see Paz Vizsla, who's obviously from season 1. He looks so cool. Obviously, he's got the weapon, the great armor, with the jetpack and everything. And I presume he's a descendant of, Tar Vizsla, who was the first Mandalorian Jedi. We haven't seen loads of. There's mentions and references to him a lot, obviously in Rebels, etc. And I think maybe something this is potentially something that Grogu will be filling this mold of a Mandalorian Jedi slash Baby Yoda, because in that way he can adhere to the Jedi code and obviously the way of the Mandalorian. So at this point, the child is swearing that they will adhere to the creed of the way of the Mandalorian, and a giant sea monster crocodile emerges. I thought it was really good CG, and there seems to be a monster or some kind of alien creature in every first episode, obviously in a lot of episodes, but they particularly do it in the first episode of every season. There's like a weird alien chasing the Razor Crest from the season 1. Season 2 was that fantastic episode with Cobb Vanth and stuff, and on Tatooine, and obviously we've got this one. So all great CG. The great entry from Din Djarin coming in and saving everyone because they were struggling. They were struggling. I was thinking, how are they going to get out of this? And the sea monster looks fantastic. A complete mix of something from potentially the prequels or that kind of thing, and mixed with Jurassic Park in Star Wars. Like I do really like these kind of large scale aliens that they're doing in the Mandalorian. Like I said, the Mandalorians who are there are actually really struggling. They don't have the and you do see their full arsenal as well, whether it's jetpacks, whether it's the flamethrowers, whether it's the blasters, etc. And they really can't kind of dent the animal's hide or skin in any way, not in a major way. And it rolls in Din Djarin, coming in with his Naboo starfighter, N1 starfighter, and he blasts it to pieces. Guts and blood, spraying everywhere, and just there to save the day. We then cut to the Mandalorian, obviously Din Djarin, meeting the armorer, conversing about removing his helmet, and she kind of states that he's no longer a Mandalorian. This is a slight rehash of their conversations in the Book of Boba Fett and stuff, and where Din Djarin is at now. He's no longer accepted into the creed of the Children of the Watch and stuff. So this was a catch up, a way of getting general audiences who maybe haven't potentially seen the Book of Boba Fett and getting them caught up, which I did hear Jon Favreau say this is a trait he has learned from Marvel. When they're telling a story, bearing in mind the people, the general audience who haven't seen all of the movies from the MCU, but so it's still keeping them kind of in touch with the main plot and the big story arcs, and bearing in mind the people that have seen everything and also the people who haven't seen everything. So I believe that's what this dialogue. So well, we'll obviously see a variation of this conversation, but it is for the general audience as well. So I fully knew and understood that. So the armor states, because you removed your helmet, you're no longer considered Mandalorian. Obviously, the Children of Watch, who anyone that doesn't know, is very cultish, is very traditional to their creed. So he's considered an outcast. The armorer then says redemption is no longer possible as Mandalore has been poisoned in the purge by the Empire, who have completely destroyed it as a consequence of their invasion. So the armor states that he cannot bathe in the waters on Mandalore. It takes for him to redeem his sins, to do his ablution. Din Djarin then shows the armorer a kind of piece of crystal that is from Mandalore. He explains that if he brings proof that the waters are still there and it's still habitable, the planet's still safe to obviously bathe in, will I be forgiven and can I be considered back into the creed of the Children of the Watch? And she explains this is the way. And so he will be forgiven and accepted by the other Mandalorian. Din Djarin then leaves into hyperspace, and this is the scene where we see, shocked, quite frankly, where we see Grogu notice these massive space whales. And of course, if you haven't seen, these days are called the Purrgil. They are directly from Star Wars Rebels, which is the animated created, I believe, by Dave Filoni. My favorite animated Star Wars show, to be honest. And these characters are not liked. They were not liked at all by the general audience who watches them, and they were often involved in filler episodes. And throughout the seasons, there was a lot of criticism around them. They're literally space whales that followed the main characters around it and helped them out at times. But we saw to that culmination in the final episode, the season finale, where they are involved directly. They save Ezra Bridger as well as Grand Admiral Thrawn. Ezra Bridger a Jedi who was in training, a couple episodes kind of before the finale. Obviously, his Jedi master died. The Mandalorian series is doing a good job of sprinkling in Rebels storylines into the show, because this show starts at the very end of that series with Ahsoka going on the search or a lookout for Ezra Bridger, who no one knows where his actual location is. So the start of Mandalorian season 1 was the same time, roughly the same time, or the same year anyway, that Ahsoka went on her search for Ezra Bridger. So he is, a Jedi who was saved by these space whales, and who travel obviously through light speed. And the person that she mentioned was Grand Admiral Thrawn in season 2, who was with Ezra Bridger, who was their biggest nemesis, and he's obviously an admiral in the Empire who's completely out to get them and the rest of them characters who are in Star Wars Rebels, who are aboard the Ghost, Hera Syndulla, etc. So Sabine Wren, who's all these characters are in and have been cast in this series Ahsoka, which is coming in 2023. But hopefully, we're going to see these characters start to creep in and emerge and show themselves in Mandalorian season 3. Nothing's been confirmed yet, but it does look that way. That's definitely, the whales are a confirmation of Ezra Bridger storyline. We've got a mention of Grand Admiral Thrawn, and obviously we've already got Ahsoka. So these characters, this links all these stories, which we know they're going to be dealt with in Ahsoka, because the Ahsoka series, we've been told that it will start with her on the hunt for Ezra Bridger. So hopefully these storylines, if anyone doesn't know, obviously these I've just updated you. So these storylines will now hopefully start to seep into the Mandalorian as a part of the wider story being told. So we then head to Navarro 7 to meet the High Magistrate Grief Karga himself, aka the former champion of the world, Apollo Creed. Now just playing. Navarro looking absolutely beautiful, clean, renovated. We have merchants, we have businesses, we have aliens, we have schools, we have droids, we have Shalacious B crumbs in the trees, and which is really funny, by the way. Very surprising to see. And we also see IG-11, a droid statue, help kind of freed them in the kind of first couple episodes of the first season. We see Mando or Din Djarin, gazing upon it. And obviously we don't know at this point why. They do then head to Grief Karga's office. Grogu, we see it was a couple of short scenes, but there is more to think about things, where he's obviously using a super cute scene where he's spinning the chair using the Force, and obviously getting the sweets or candy, as you guys say in America, to get the red sweets. But there's more to that. So this is an indication, or for us to see as the audience, he is now more proficient in the Force, or with the Force. And we have been told, upon the marketing for this week of The Mandalorian, now we know. It didn't come across this in the show. It didn't seem this way. It wasn't explained in any way, the timeline of the Book of Boba Fett. And we did not know that from the point where Grogu went with Luke Skywalker to this episode 1 in season 3, it has been 2 years, to the point where Grogu returns back to Din Djarin. So in real time, in real life, it's been 2 years. And Jon Favreau states it's been 2 years, which is confusing. I mean, I really want to see them 2 years. What has Luke Skywalker been doing with Grogu? How good is Grogu now with the Force? What can he do? Does he know more about lightsabers? How proficient is he? I really, really would like to see that. What adventures they must have had. What Mando was up to as well. There's so much missing there, which I hope, hopefully we're going to get some flashbacks, or it's not just, like a bit of a retcon that, Favreau's done in terms of, publicly stating that, because it absolutely does not come across that way in the show. There's no indication for us how long that time was. I had no idea it was 2 years. I would never have guessed that. So they're still in the office, and Grief Karga, his magistrate, tries to sign or get Din Djarin to sell him some land, and he explains why he's still with Grogu. He thought your quest was completed. He explained, it's complicated. He's returned to me. He then gets told by a droid that there's some pirates outside. by kind of a leader by the name of Vane. Um, so I did think there was maybe some other pirates who, obviously we know, in Rebels and Clone Wars, etc., like Hondo, but obviously it wasn't. But he still looked good. I thought he still looked great, and they came across as, I like. By the way, Grief Karga's costume is really good, and also the pirates and the prosthetics that they have and the makeup, really physical stuff as opposed to CG. So yeah, you're just a lot more invested in this show when it's like that. And we get the pirates, they kind of walk upon a school. It used to be a bar where they used to kind of drink with Grief Karga. No, but they have a bit of a standoff. Grief Karga, sorry, tells them that it is a school. Have a drink back at my office, not taking no for an answer. And they basically have a bit of a Western standoff where they get blasted away by Grief Karga and Din Djarin. And it was to establish Grief Karga, to let Vane go, to tell him to spread the news that pirates won't be tolerated here, and you can't do what you want anymore. But it was slightly confusing that Vane would, why are you trying to drink in a school? Like, he's told that you can drink elsewhere. Like, it was a little distracting, that conversation that they had. But overall, I did like the involvement with them, and like the way kind of Din and Grief Karga just dealt with them. Dealt with them, yeah. So Din Djarin's then offered a job by Grief Karga, and he's asked about. He actually mentions, what about Cara Dune? It's revealed that she's been promoted to special forces once she brought in Grand Moff Gideon, and just Moff Gideon. Din Djarin is then offered a job as a ranger by Grief Karga. He asks about Cara Dune. And then Grief Karga mentions that Cara has been promoted to special forces once she brought in Moff Gideon. And Gideon's been sent to some kind of war tribunal. I wonder if he will get an appearance this season. Mando wants IG-11 built back together for his kind of quest on Mandalore. He then hotwires IG-11 back to power, showing his kind of engineering skills as well. I was pretty impressed with. And IG-11 then reverts back to his original programming, tries to destroy Grogu, and Grogu's hilariously tossed to Grief Karga by Din Djarin, as if it's like a American football. And Mando's blaster fire, which I found surprising, could not pierce or damage IG-11. Up until this droid kind of dropped a statue on top of IG-11's head and had it destroyed, and that's when it's kind of stopped. But it just shows that why Din Djarin wants him or IG-11 as a ally, because wants this specific droid because he's really proficient and he's good at what he does, and he needs a droid like that. And obviously it's a way to keep Taika Waititi back in the series, especially as a voice actor. Hey everyone, just a quick hair and makeup change. So IG-11 is then taken to the Anzellans, who is the race of Babu Frick. Really funny, a few scenes, believe it or not, or Babu Frick is one of the best bits of The Rise of Skywalker. I did laugh out loud when I did see them again. They're super funny, proficient as well. It shows, with their little hands and little structures they can get in between the circuits, and are really good with the engineering. The Anzellans explain that they need some kind of new memory circuit to Din Djarin, and Grogu then has this hilarious scene where he tries to play with the Anzellan or eat him potentially. We didn't come to that, but I think it was a potential. And then the Anzellan calls Baby Yoda bad baby. Hilarious few scenes and really funny. So Din Djarin then takes off and he's teaching Grogu the controls of the ship and how to fly a little bit, but he's then followed by the pirate Vane. And this whole scene, the CG was fantastic. Really reminds me of the prequels and the original trilogy, with the asteroids, and obviously in the prequels with Obi-Wan and Jango Fett and all that stuff in Attack of the Clones, and of course in Empire Strikes Back when Han Solo is being chased by the Empire. And Mando's ship, his speed and maneuverability is far superior to the pirates and kind of takes them out one by one. The pirates then lead Mando towards the captain's ship, First of all, the visual of the capital ship looks absolutely fantastic, and also in the concept art, it looks really impressive as well, and with the CG and everything. And then we get a shot of the captain who is straight out of Pirates of the Caribbean, the Swamp Thing slash Davy Jones. The CG and the creativity is absolutely beautiful, right out of the prequel era, and it really makes you feel like you're in Star Wars. So we've got aliens, we've got pirates, we've got Mandalorians, we've got Baby Yoda, everything in a bundle. That kind of energy is what I need on one in Star Wars. Mando then arrives at a planet called Kalevala, which is the last location of this episode, where it is a home and a part of the Mandalorian system, where he explains to Grogu this is a Mandalorian castle. I believe it's all Beskar. It looks beautiful. The plain kind of steel look that it has. It looks very ancient as well. So again, the kind of art direction, the mise en scène of the whole thing, very Game of Thrones. That's very old. Ritualistic, traditional. Brings all these kind of vibes. Like a war environment ready for battle. It looks like a fort. So I really love the aesthetics of this planet. And on Kalevala, in the castle, we do see Bo-Katan looking really relaxed, full of attitude. I think Katie Sackhoff as Bo-Katan looks absolutely fantastic. She seems to have a new outfit, a new wig this season. She looks so good. She looked good last year, but she looks exactly like her character in the Clone Wars and in the animated version of it. And her performance is great. She sounds great. She looks great. The outfit is great. She's absolutely fantastic. She then explains she's lost her kind of a crew and followers because she did not come back at the events of the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian. She did not arrive back with the dark saber, so her people did not follow her, and she's kind of lost her respect and authority as a consequence. So I believe she's a newer Mandalorian. She's not of the creed of the Children of the Watch. So she actually blames them. Even before the Empire purged Mandalore, there was a lot of civil war. Were a lot of kind of violence amongst Mandalorians and the different kind of creeds and cultures between them. And she blames the Children of the Watch for being kind of too traditional, too focused on themselves and not helping in the efforts against the Empire. She actually calls Din Djarin then a fool for trying to return to Mandalore, and explains that performing your ablutions and bathing in the kind of waterfalls on Mandalore superstitious, and dismisses it instantly and says, kind of, be my guest, you can go there. Gives him the location, which is in the mines below the civic center on Sundari. And hopefully in the next episode we'll get to see Mandalore in live action, with the kind of all the challenges he's got to face, what these worlds looks like. There has to be more to it. They're indicating there's more to it. There's something really special about this place. As far as I'm aware, I'm not aware of anything that there is anything special about these kind of wells in Mandalore, but we shall see. And Bo-Katan's attitude is really questionable. What her allegiances are? Has she set Mando up to go somewhere and potentially collect the dark saber off a dead body or something like that? I don't know what her plan is. She seems really annoyed and disheartened about the dark saber, but she hasn't confronted him about it. So I really hope that gets addressed and we get some resolution to that. Going into the next episode, I'm really questioned what is going on Mandalore. I don't believe that it's uninhabitable, that it's all poisoned. If they've managed to obtain this crystal, someone has, and provided that to Mando, I believe that people are able to go there. So we'll see in the next kind of few episodes what happens there. I also believe that the Empire is hiding something there that makes people believe that it is uninhabitable. Perhaps there's a cloning facility there. Obviously, we have this whole cloning storyline and where that's leading to. So we'll see. But maybe they moved kind of their latest kind of cloning base. As we've seen the Doctor in the previous episodes, perhaps they have their base there. Is this the beginnings of Snoke? Not totally sure, but I'm definitely looking forward to the storyline. Obviously, we have the wider mythical elements of the story as well, where Grogu is with the Force. Obviously, we have alluded to flashbacks and how he survived Order 66. We have the whole Ahsoka, Ezra, Thrawn storyline. You know, what other Rebels characters will appear in this series? What other original trilogy characters will appear in this series? Will Luke show up as well? So many questions. Really excited. I will address any kind of dislikes or negatives about the episode. Obviously, it is really short. I didn't particularly mind that, but I know a lot of people did. Yes, I would have liked a longer one, particularly the season 2, episode 1 was nearly an hour. I believe it was 52 minutes. So, including the kind of catch up part of this episode, it was it was minus 30 minutes, I think 28 minutes or so. So, it was a little short. But it was still a really enjoyable episode. A lot of the dialogue as well was rehashing of what we saw in season 2 towards the kind of last few episodes with the armorer, with Bo-Katan, that kind of thing. Even Grief Karga seemed to be shocked that Baby Yoda / Grogu was still there with Mando. Completed his quest, and he's got him back. Really don't know what happened in the 2 years with Grogu. Apart from a couple of scenes with Luke that we saw, and obviously Mando talking to the armorer. So I'd like to see more between kind of both character or all characters involved between the 2 years. But overall, yes. I'm not totally sure what's going on with IG-11 and why he tried to resurrect him specifically. And that kind of came out the blue a little bit. But he was a cool character. He's really proficient as a droid as well in terms of defensive. His arsenal and capabilities and weaponry. So he's definitely a useful character, and he was funny as well. So I didn't mind seeing him back. But yeah, we'll see where the story goes from here. I just love being in this world, whether it's 20 minutes, whether it's an hour and 20 minutes. I love this series. It's the best thing to come out of Disney Star Wars, and everything that I want to see tuning into Star Wars definitely gives me that Saturday serial televised, Buck Rogers, animated comic book style, almost TV show, just really full of wonder, where kind of any age group of people can like this, whether you're children, whether you're kind of original trilogy fans, whether you're just general movie fans, it's something for everybody. Again, the sense of wonder and the scope and scale of this story, 1 minute is dealing with pirates, then it's a western, then it's about the Force, then they're dealing with the rebels, then we're dealing with the rebellion. It's just so many boxes ticking off, and it's really funny. The music's fantastic, so much to like about this. Yes, not the strongest episode I've ever seen, probably potentially even the weakest episode 1 of each kind of season that we've seen, but it was overall such a good episode. I had a blast watching it. So good to be back. Not, as I said earlier as well, not only is the Mandalorian back, Star Wars is back. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode review.